Everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be continuing What If Naruto was raised by Jiraiya and Tsunade. But before we get into today's video, I would please like to remind you all to leave a like, subscribe if you want to. Hey, if you enjoyed the video at any given point in time, please leave a like. Yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so Naruto wakes up around 2 hours early. So he wakes up at around 4 and he gets dressed and he goes around and he starts picking up his teammates. So he picks up Sasuke and Hinata. And Hinata and Sasuke knew that Naruto were coming to pick them up, but they were still mad at the fact that he did, because they know when Naruto has things on his mind, depending on, what it is, he'll wake up early. So really, really early. So when they get to the training ground, Sasuke asks Naruto what was their plan when they what are we doing here? And Naruto tells him to just relax and everything will be explained shortly. So as they're sitting there, Naruto, two of Naruto's shadow clones jump down from a tree and tells him that everything has been set up. And Hinata get, just a little interested. She activates her Byakugan and she sees that Naruto has put clones of himself buried just an inch, kind of like they're just covered enough to where you won't be able to see them, and they're scattered all throughout the forest. Some of them have embedded themselves into trees, others have camouflaged into bushes, others are sitting underground. Some of them are just camped up in trees, they're just around. So Hinata looks at Naruto and was like, isn't this a little bit cheating? And Sasuke was like, no, actually it's not. Just because we have a battle stationed here early, just because we have a training stationed here doesn't mean that we can't go out and do certain things. In a battle, you think the other side is going to not use the advantage of getting there first on you? No, they're going to build booby traps and set you up. So, Hinata, what are you planning on doing with this little bit of time that we have left? And Hinata, realizing that Naruto is kind of right, because let's be honest, no enemy is going to be waiting for you to get there. They're going to be putting plans in motion. So Hinata starts running around and she starts placing little traps and stuff, little med kits and things for Naruto and them if they get hurt. And then she comes back and Naruto asks her, what did she do? And she tells Naruto that she put little concussive, little smoke bombs and stuff laid out, and they're all trigger fingered and tripwire. So if he trips over any of them, they'll know where he's at due to the smoke bomb or the loud bang that occurs shortly thereafter. So Naruto tells Hinata that that's good, but he was expecting more of maybe you had known the Shadow Clone Jutsu. And Hinata tells Naruto that she's not, she doesn't know the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and even then it would take a large amount of chakra for her to produce that many shadow clones. And even if she could produce that many shadow clones, she uses the Byakugan, which consumes a lot of chakra in its own right. So using two jutsus like that combined really wouldn't be such a good idea. And Naruto was like, yeah, right, I forgot chakra strain and everything. And she tells him that maybe she could learn it later so she can do twin lion fit, something like a jutsu, but two of her. And Naruto was like, actually, I think that'll be mad cool, because not a lot of people would be expecting somebody to jump into two people and beat them up. So Naruto like tells her that he'll probably try to show her how to do the shadow clone jutsu. And Sasuke tells Naruto that maybe they should start getting into positions. And Naruto would be like, so how exactly would he know if we just want to start out right? How would he know that? And Sasuke and Hinata was like, oh, it's simple. We'll just leave him a note. And Naruto was like, oh, well, I mean, I guess that'll work. So they pull out a piece of paper, they wrap it around, like they write that they want it to start immediately, and then he sticks it, like they wrap it around his kunai and they stick it into like this log that they were sitting next to. And when Kakashi gets there, like at 6, well, at around like 6:30, because Kakashi was late. So when Kakashi gets there, he finds the kunai and he sees that they wanted to start immediately. So Kakashi, after reading the note, he gets a little suspicious because now they've had prep time. And that's something that he did not want them to have. Or he did not want them to have a lot of it. And he knows that Naruto can wake up at the butt crack of dawn for no reason. So he immediately he gets ninja mode. So he's taking this not serious, but serious enough to the point where he wouldn't fall for some stupid trick. So he disappears into the forest and he's searching for them. He's not hiding. He's not necessarily hiding. He's searching for them. But when he can't find any of them, he realizes that maybe they're hiding somewhere altogether, further away from the training ground, which would be a little weird, due to the fact, and before he could even finish his sentence, he gets a kunai thrown at the back part of his head, and as he ducks down for the kunai, Hinata comes up and tries to grab the bells, and when she comes up to try to grab the bells, Kakashi hits her, and he punches her away, but when she hits the ground, she jumps right back up at him. So as he's turning around to fight Hinata, he turns up, he thinks about it, and he looks up, and in the tree, Sasuke is forming the fireball jutsu, and Hinata had full intent of taking that fireball jutsu and trying to get at Kakashi. So as he's trying, so he jumps out the way, and they both stop, and he's like, what happened? And when he turns around, Naruto has 2 shadow clones grabbing his feet. And when Naruto goes to hit Kakashi with the Rasengan that he formed, the body disappears into clouds. And Kakashi appears behind Naruto woof, that was a relief. And then he kicks Naruto in the back of the head, and he takes his headband off. Not he flips it up, and he was like, no, let me show you how to actually use the Rasengan. And he charges, he makes a Rasengan in his hand, and he looks at Naruto, and Naruto, before Naruto could even do anything, he's right in front of Naruto, and he doesn't hit Naruto, he hits Hinata, because Hinata knew what Kakashi was finna do. So she jumps in the way and she tries to block it. And she does block it to a certain extent. And you'll get to know about that later on. So as they're fighting, Hinata is kind of slacking, just a little bit more and more. She's not landing as many hits. she's moving slower. She's not moving her arms as well as she's supposed to. So Naruto finally catches notice of this when she's in clear reach of the bells, and she pulls her arm back and starts holding like her forearm, because that's what she blocked it with. She blocked it with both of her forearms. So Naruto, you know, he's like, now he's thinking he has to finish this quickly, because we both know that Hinata's not gonna stop until they pass. So now Naruto is like, he's trying his hardest. So he forms another Rasengan, and he tries to hit Kakashi with it. But like in the midst of him doing that, Kakashi jumps out the way and Sasuke shoots a fireball at him. And Hinata tries to go for the bells again, but instead of using her hands, this time she kicks Kakashi's, like where he has the bells hooked, she kicks him in that side of his body, and he leans back, and Naruto, with the momentum that he had from the Rasengan of him being forced back, he was able to grab the bells off of her, not off of her, but off of him from, from being kicked by Hinata. And when Kakashi finally tells him that they passed like hours ago, this was just so fun that he couldn't stop. And Naruto gets angry, and Kakashi was kind of wondering why, but then he looks back, looking back on the fight, he looks at Hinata, and he's like, Hinata, show me your arms. And Hinata was like, what? No, I'm fine. And then she she's persisting on not trying to show her arms. And Naruto gets mad. Finally, like, he's been pissed for a minute, but he finally gets mad, and he stopped trying to hear what she had to say. And she walks up to her, and she pulls back her arm, and like all where the Rasengan had hit was like purple-ish, like it was broke. So Naruto looks at her and was like, so instead of healing yourself or attempting to, you decided to keep fighting despite your condition? And Hinata tells Naruto that they would have failed if she didn't. And Kakashi tells her that technically she did. And she, her heart drops when he says that. And Naruto turns around and was like, what do you mean? And he was like, the whole purpose and point of this exercise was for you to work together as a team. As a team, you were supposed to be solid. Like, you were supposed to know everything about each other. Clearly, Hinata failed to realize that also meant when you get hurt, you go to your team. She didn't do that, so technically she does fail. And Naruto, he's finna start, Hinata, is tearing up now, because now she thinks that she's not gonna be able to work with Naruto and Sasuke. And Sasuke, at this point, he's mad at Hinata for not telling them, but he's also mad at himself for not figuring it out, and he's mad at Kakashi for not just telling them what they had to do in the first place. But, so Hinata looks over at Sasuke, and Sasuke kind of darts his head off in the different, in a different type of direction, and in her mind, she's thinking that they just don't want nothing to do with her. But meanwhile, Naruto is fighting the fact, that although, yeah, she didn't tell them that she was injured, they did get the bell, so technically they do pass. And Kakashi tells him that he'll just overlook it just this once. And, when they turn back around and tell Hinata that everything is going to be okay, a little bit of, a sigh of relief goes over her. And then she hits the ground. And Naruto, in a panic, he starts, he grabs her and starts heading toward the, the hospital. And Sasuke and Kakashi are right behind her. So when they get to the hospital, um, Neji and Hinata's dad was immediately notified, and they got there within like the hour. Not within like the hour, but like within like a 20-minute. I'm gonna say it was like a 20-minute walk from. Yeah, so I'm gonna say they. Well, if it's 20 minutes and you run like in their Shinobi, so they move faster. They got there in like 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm gonna say like 5 minutes. Yeah, why not? So, like, Neji asks Naruto what happened to Hinata, and Naruto goes and tells Neji, and Neji knows that Hinata does have a tendency to be hurt and not tell nobody. So he has like this look on his face, and Hinata hasn't seen that look on his face in a minute after what Naruto had did prior to like a couple of weeks prior to that. So like, yeah, and Hinata's dad isn't mad, like he's proud at the fact that she thought to keep fighting. Like that was her main thought process. It was to not let her team down and to keep fighting. But he's mad at the fact that she might not even be able to become a Kunoichi due to the fact that she was fighting and she wasn't trying to take care of her wounds. Cause like, yeah, so when the doctor, like when Tsunade walks in, Tsunade immediately, like she starts to evaluate the situation, and she tells Hinata's dad that if she would have stopped fighting at the beginning after she got hit with the Rasengan, looking at Kakashi angrily. So Kakashi was like, yeah, like he kind of starts scratching his head, and he's like, she kind of jumped in the way. And like Tsunade looks at Hinata and was like, what in your right mind told you to jump in the way of that? And Hinata tells him that if she didn't, he was going to hit Naruto and probably put him out of commission. As a Kunoichi, although she is not the strongest person on her team, if one of the strongest people on your team go down, then eventually the whole team will. And Naruto gets mad and claps back and was like, well, if our Kunoichi dies, then we won't have one. Meaning that in the long run, although we may be strong, we will lose eventually due to the fact that we have no Kunoichi. You see what I'm getting at here, Hinata? And Naruto is just mad, and everybody could see that Naruto's mad because Naruto doesn't like to mess around when it comes to his squad and his friends. So like Jiraiya tells Naruto that maybe he should just like take a walk, and like Naruto was like, okay, fine, and he vanishes, and Sasuke was like, I guess I gotta go. Yeah, so he vanishes too, and Hinata, like in her head, she's thinking like she really messed up, and Naruto like is like, he goes back toward he goes back to the training ground, and all he's doing is like, he's just fighting his shadow clones. So like Sasuke is just sitting up in a tree, and one of the shadow clones sits down next to him, and like Sasuke asks the shadow clone, is he alright? And the shadow clone tells like Sasuke that he's just tired of the fact that no one feels like he should like be around things when he's involved. And he's like, so you're mad at the fact that Jiraiya told you to leave the room? And he was like, yeah. And at the fact that she took a hit from me that I didn't need her to take. And like Sasuke tells Naruto that maybe he should stop being so emotional, because this world isn't as forgiving as most. And Naruto tells him that maybe he's right and he should stop being emotional. But out of nowhere, Kiba and Tenten like walk onto the training ground, and like Naruto's shadow clones disappear. Naruto's just left standing there, and Sasuke appears next to him. And Naruto asks him, like, what do they want? And Tenten was like, we heard about what happened to Hinata, and we just wanted to make sure she was okay. And Naruto was like, so you came out here? And Sasuke was like, excuse him, he's kind of still on cloud 9. So if you wanted to check on Hinata, she's at the hospital. Now, if you're gonna stay here, I might just get yelled at by Naruto. And Kiba tells him that they're just gonna go and see about Hinata. And like when Kiba and Tenten turn around, Sasuke sees like this little mark, just just a small mark above Kiba's neck. So he asks Kiba, is there something on your neck? And Kiba, he shrugs his shoulders and he's like, nah, I don't think so. And he starts walking off, and Tenten looks, and she doesn't see anything. So she's not she just thought Sasuke was messing with Kiba. So Sasuke tells Naruto that there's definitely something going on with Kiba. And Naruto was like, so do you want to keep an eye on him? And Sasuke was like, no, because maybe he'll come clean. Kiba isn't that type of person to just abandon his own village. So Naruto was like, yeah, you're probably right. Anyway, we should probably go check to see if Hinata's okay. And Naruto, was like, I'm a little calmer now, so we can start heading back. And Sasuke was like, all right, that's all I wanted you to do, was calm down. So they start heading back to the hospital. And when they get to the hospital, Hinata's leaving, and her arms are wrapped up in casts, and Kakashi tells them that they're going to be running, just a trio for the time being until Hinata gets better. And Naruto was like, what's your estimated waiting time until you can, get back up on the team? And Neji tells him that she needs to get Hyuga training more than she needs basic training. So even when she is able to get back on your team, she won't be on your team. She'll just be training a lot with the Hyugas, with her own people. And Naruto was like, I guess that's kind of understandable given the fact that she feels the need that she needs to jump in front of everything. And her dad was like, I don't know why you tried to jump in front of something you didn't know the palm rotation. See the problem there? And she was like, okay, I get it. I fucked up. Can we go now? So Naruto and everybody starts walking Hinata back to the Hyuga compound. And when they get there, almost every Hyuga is waiting in the front to see if Hinata's okay. And, she is okay to a certain extent. So they proceed to allow her to go inside the house. And throughout the rest of that entire day, because this all happened in the morning, so by the time Hinata got to go home, it was I'm gonna say 3 in the afternoon, because she had to have a surgery in between that time to fix her bones in her arms. So Naruto tells Hinata that I guess they have to go start doing missions now, and you just have I guess your mission is just to rest up. And Neji tells him that she's not going to be doing much resting after she gets her her arm mobility back. And Naruto tells him that maybe he should choose different wording next time. And he disappears, and Neji, realizing what he said, he gets a little flustered, and he walks out the room, because what he said in the wrong mindset did sound a little dirty. So he gets a little flustered and he walks out the room, and he's like complaining about how Naruto and like Sasuke are always like just quick with the comebacks, because he can never really do it, because he never really understood the meaning of verbally assaulting someone. So, well, anyone except for Hinata at the time. So, like, not being able to verbally assault Hinata, you know, he goes in there every once in a while to make sure that she's okay, and she's eaten. Does she have to, like, does she want some water? Does she want entertainment? Like, stuff like that. He goes in there doing with her. And Naruto and Sasuke and Kakashi do stop by, like, almost after every mission. They stop coming by after, like, in between missions. So, like, they'll do, like, 3 missions, then go see Hinata. 3 missions, then go see Hinata. And around the time when the Chunin exams start to come up, they got tasked with a mission to escort Tazuna. And finally, Hinata was able to get back on the team after her immense amount of Hyuga training and the rehabilitation for her arms, just like in general. So they get like the mission and they get sent home, because the mission's not till tomorrow. So when Naruto gets home, he's excited because Hinata finally gets to get back on the team, and this is like their first really outside of the village mission, because, you know, the Leaf Village didn't want them leaving the village if they didn't have a full team. So, like, Naruto gets inside of his house and he starts eating, and Jiraiya notices that Naruto's eating a lot faster than normal, and Naruto tells Jiraiya that he has to get ready, because come tomorrow, he's gonna, like, finally be able to sit. You know, he's finally gonna be able to, you know, look off to the side and see Hinata back on the team again. And Jiraiya was like, yeah, I guess that is a good reason to be happy. You get to see one of your teammates that you didn't get to see for a while now. Well, in action, really. You saw her a lot lately. And Naruto was like, that is kind of true. I do be over there a lot. So, well, not as much as I used to, but yeah. So, like, Naruto goes in his room and he doesn't go to sleep. Instead, Naruto places these seals that Tsunade gave him all over his body. And what those seals do, y'all will probably never know, but it boosts certain aspects of his chakra. Like, yeah. So, like, Jiraiya tells Tsunade that maybe she should have waited just a tad bit longer to give him those seals, because now he's overusing them, and that could cause the Nine Tails to get more hyperactive in his body. And Tsunade tells him that Naruto needs to learn some responsibility anyway, and Jiraiya was like, so now you're the one taking the risk. And Tsunade looks at him and was like, I'm like 3.2 seconds away from punching you. And Jiraiya was like, so that's my cue to do what exactly? And Tsunade gets mad and Jiraiya disappears, and she walks, like, she's just walking throughout the house because Jiraiya hasn't left the house. And Naruto walks over to his door, and as he's putting the sound seal on, he collapses. And, like, Tsunade hears the thump on the floor, but she just thinks that, like, it's Naruto. He's weird. And his chakra, she can sense his chakra. His chakra seal seems normal with the seals on it. So she doesn't think nothing of it, really. So when Naruto collapses, he wakes up in his mindscape and he sees a giant cage. And this is where I'm ending this part off. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like. If you're enjoying my content, please subscribe. Anyway, this has been Shinobi. Peace.